Hi, guys. This is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, and so many beautiful tales of freedom because what we're doing is we're ending eating disorders. And we're not using anything to do that except our brain. And that also happens to be an extremely effective way to just end eating disorders, no matter how long you've been in that cycle, no matter how discouraged you feel, no matter how many things you've tried. It's just about doing the thing that works. And so we are celebrating another amazing woman today who has taken the journey from discouragement and crazies around food to literally just not doing that anymore, not even identifying with that anymore. Like, it's really cool to see what can happen in such a short time when you do the thing that works to be free. So excited for you guys to meet an incredible woman, Kristin. Kristin, welcome to the show. So happy you're here. Hello.
Hi.
So just let's start out with everyone getting to know your journey a little bit. So tell us kind of your origin story. Like, how did all the food stuff get started in life with you? Tell us a little bit about your journey and how the eating sort of escalated throughout life.
Okay. Well, when I was 5, my parents divorced. And up until that point, I'd had a pretty normal life. And after my mother left with my brother and I, she was with a man, and he had abused me, and I had to keep this a deep, dark secret for about 2 years before I told my mom. He threatened that if I told my mom and my brother that they would be hurt. So what ended up happening was, when I did tell my mom, we left immediately, but we didn't do anything about it. It was just the secret that I kept. I didn't share with anybody. And then that same summer, I was sent up to my dad's, and one of my aunts came up to me amongst all my really thin cousins. And I was eating cheesies, and I was 9. And she said, if I ate any more cheesies, I was going to blow up because I was such a fat pig. And I wasn't fat at all. But anyhow, that just on the heels of the abuse made me feel very different, very wrong. There's something really wrong with me, and I didn't fit in, and that just set me up for the rest of my life until this point, feeling like I didn't want to be me, I didn't want to do me, I didn't like me, and I was embarrassed about myself. And so from there, when I was 14, I went to school, high school, first year, and I realized with all of the media, back then, Teen Magazine, 17 Magazine, there was always things about dieting, and then you go to school and you see the older kids and you're like, oh yeah, they're all on a diet. And so I thought that was the thing to do. And I began to diet, and I began to exercise a lot. And of course, that restriction cycle led me to binging because I couldn't sustain restricting that long. And so then I binge, and it just went from there for 31 years. 31 years. And
Wow.
it was
That's
a big
so much
dark
life.
secret.
Yeah. So a
Yeah.
deep, dark secret for so much life. Like, I just want to bring awareness to this piece of the restriction led to the binging. When you were 14 years old, did you have an idea of why you were binging?
No, I thought there was something wrong with me, just because something had always been wrong with me. So again, I had failed at one more thing.
Yeah. And just, I think of so many people, including myself, who we literally just think there's something terribly wrong with me because why am I eating this way? Without realizing on the other side of like, oh, of course I'm eating this way because that's what happens on the other side of restriction. So I just wanted to point out, like, looking back, that's such a beautiful thing that you know now. But as a 14-year-old Kristin, I mean, what did she know, right? And look how it reinforced again, like, oh, there's something wrong with me, right? So, okay, so you were binging, and then sort of how did it go from there? Like, as you started binging, how did your eating sort of transform?
Well, it started just now and then it became like, wow, I can eat anything I want and just purge and exercise a lot and I'll be fine. And unfortunately, it just it just grew into an entity on its own, and it was controlling me completely. And my self-worth had just was already low, and it was just plummeted. I always was looking for a way to fix myself, to fix this problem, to make myself better. I just didn't want to be me. I wanted to be somebody else. And it just felt so unfair that this had to be my life. And I thought I'd done something really wrong to deserve this. And, that paired with the other issues that began when I was young, like the abuse and that, it just made me feel like I was damaged goods and I didn't deserve anything good in life. And, fortunately, when I was 23, I met my husband, and, um, he really, he's been with me for 22 years now, and he didn't know about it. I don't know if he knew about it or not. I feel like he did, but he wouldn't say anything, and I would never admit it. I was very ashamed of myself. And my self-esteem was really low, but I had no reason really to project that on people. People didn't perceive that about me because I am so successful. I'm a professional. I've had lots of accolades in my profession. I'm a great athlete. I have all sorts of things to feel good about, but I never did. I couldn't feel good about myself. And this was such a deep, dark secret. And so it made my life very small. And I missed out on so many wonderful things in my life because of this monster that got out of control, the monster under the bed. Like, it had taken over my whole life.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the loneliness of that nobody knows. Like there's one thing that there's this secret around it, but then on the other side, a lot of times, those of us who have had this struggle, we don't look like we're struggling from the outside, right? It's like you said, like you've been so successful in all these things. So there's sort of like this depth of loneliness of nobody can tell. Nobody can look at you. Nobody can say, hey, is everything okay? Because I can tell there's something wrong. It's like no one asked that question because, oh, Kristin's got it all together, right? So yeah, like that loneliness is a really hard place to be. And for you, like when we first got in contact, like what were some of the hardest things for you about like what your eating was like? Like what was your eating like, before you started, working with me? Like what was sort of the hardest part in life about this being a constant struggle?
The hardest part for me is that I've always been in great control of things. I'm a controller. And I can make myself do anything. I can do it better than anybody. I can accomplish whatever I put my mind to, but I couldn't accomplish this. I couldn't get over this. I couldn't beat it. I couldn't figure it out. I had tried everything, and somewhat successful here and there, but it always came back. And it was just so devastating when it did, because it was one more failure on my, on my belt, right? Like it just and it got harder and harder to be successful. And I used to say to myself, like, how many times am I going to do this before it works? Like, I must have not tried it long enough, because it's got to work at some point.
Yeah,
And that thinking, it just, listening to myself say that now, it just doesn't, it just sounds ridiculous, but
I know, but
that's
at
how
the
it
time you don't know, right? You're like, you blame yourself. Like, I'm not trying hard enough. I'm not doing enough. There's something wrong with me. It's not the stuff I'm trying. It's like the inherent brokenness of me, which like
yeah.
you said, like adds another notch of failure. It's like every time you try to make it better, there's this huge risk of like, is this going to be another failure? Like, were you just exhausted?
I was absolutely exhausted. I wasn't ready to give up, because that's the one thing that I pride myself in, is I never gave up. I never gave up for $100,000 worth of trying. But I had a feeling that this was different, and it really made sense to me. Um, and the beauty of it and what really drew me to you is the simplicity, and also the way that you approached it. It wasn't so serious. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, you are so flawed, this is going to take us years and years to fix you. Your videos are funny and light, and they gave me hope that, you know what, like, this isn't so bad. And secondly, I'm not alone. Obviously, if we have however many 100 videos you have, there's other people like me in the world. And we can laugh about it, right? It's not something I could ever laugh about. I could never talk about it. When I was a teen, I told my mom, and she just was like, she shut me down and said, you don't do that. You don't do that. You just stop that right now. That's not what you do. That's a dumb thing to do. You stop that. And it was like, okay.
Wow.
And so, of course, I'm not going to tell anybody else after that, right?
Yeah, it's like, well, if that's how, yeah, it's like, if that's how people react, I know. And that can be, because I know it can be such a scary thing to tell and such a scary thing to hear, because there's so much misunderstanding about eating disorders, right? Like there's all of this weird just stigma that it would be great if that changed in the world, because it doesn't need to be there. It's like, this is a habit that we're breaking. Cool. So I mean, let's talk about that journey. Like, I want to congratulate you, first of all, for never giving up. Like, that is such an important, beautiful thing. And that's what got you to this point. But I know the journey of not giving up and not giving up can be a really difficult one. So, like you said, like, you would spend over $100,000 on trying to end this. So just give us a little picture, Kristin, of like, what had you tried? What had you tried to end this cycle?
Well, I tried, first of all, when I was a teen, after I told my mom I was in an eating disorder group. And that was just like learning the tricks of the trade as to how to, you know, eat and not gain weight. I learned all kinds of things from that. So that didn't work. And then I decided I should go on antidepressants because I heard that would help. I thought there could be some magic pill that would fix things. I bought lots of pills off the internet. I tried all those ephedra and all those ones that, you know, could probably kill you at some point. I tried sort of psychology, pop psychology programs like Tony Robbins. I thought that maybe I could get at it from that way. Tried diet programs, many, many diet programs that were really expensive. And I felt like the more money I put into the program, the better chance I had of it working. If I just spent a lot of money, it would work. And that wasn't the case at all. And then yeah, like I did everything. I started going to church. I thought maybe spiritually. I went to I did Reiki, like all of those things to try and, you know, get this out of me, this thinking, and it just, nothing worked. And so the more things didn't work, the more broken I felt. Like I thought, I am the only person in the world that has this, and I am so messed up. Nobody can help me. And then I met you.
Yeah. And I know, like, man, that journey, and especially like the gestures get grander, right? It's like, I'm going to do this huge thing. I'm going to make this huge investment, this big declaration. And then like, when that doesn't work, it's just like, I know how just hard that can be, because this is your life, right? Like, this is your life. This is your money. This is all of that is just so important. So I want to just congratulate you for being in all the things that you've been through and deciding at each point of that, no, I'm going to keep trying. Because that's such a beautiful thing, although it's exhausting. Like, so proud of you for continuing to keep going. So anything else about that side, like anything else that you want to share, Kristin, about what it was like to have an eating disorder? Like, what was your eating like at the time?
Oh, my eating, I could go for stretches where I'd be fine. I'd be good for so long. And then I just couldn't be good anymore. And I would cheat. And the minute I started cheating, it was like a runaway train. It was like, okay, I've screwed up, but it wasn't, it became, as I got older, and the more times it happened, the runaway train ran away a lot faster and for a lot longer. I couldn't break it. And I knew if I cheated or I gave up, I was setting myself up for like a huge fall. And it took a long time to sort of regain the willpower to get back on the wagon. So that was those were very dark times when I did. It was very scary. I couldn't trust myself around food. Socially, I couldn't go out I wouldn't go out. I missed out on so much because I didn't want to go to the New Year's parties, because I didn't like how I looked, or because I didn't want to cheat on my diet. Um, I didn't want to be intimate with my husband because I felt bad about myself. I missed out on lots of events because of how I felt. I isolated myself because I didn't feel good at all about anything, or I didn't want anything to get in the way of my diet, of me like sticking with this long enough that it would just become, the way things were for me in my eating. And every time that I cheated or I fell off the wagon, my self-worth was so low. I hated myself, and I always wanted to fix myself. I thought there was something really wrong. I wasn't good enough as I was, and I was always trying to reinvent myself, do things to make myself better, to make myself feel better about myself, and it just never worked. Like I was down low when I met you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know how scary it gets. Like, if you have one little thing that's off of your plan, then all of a sudden, like you said, like that runaway train. So all of a sudden, like a handful of grapes, a piece of toast is literally death. Like it's awful. And you're just terrified. You're just like walking in a minefield. And I
Hmm.
know how incredibly scary that can be. And like you said, like your self-worth, like everything is based on that. Man, I remember so many like holidays, like a Christmas or a Thanksgiving, where on the one side there was like this righteous pride of like everyone else ate mashed potatoes and I ate cauliflower with spray butter that isn't really butter, and I had a seltzer water and I cut all the fat off of my tiny piece of meat. You know what I mean? It's just like this extreme diet meal on what should be like a glorious occasion. And on the one side it's like all this like self-righteous, like I have the control, and then on the other side there's just this deep deep sadness and loss of, man, everyone else was having fun,
Hmm.
everyone else was enjoying each other and taking pictures and having a great time. I remember a Christmas where I literally stayed up for hours and made a whole bunch of desserts that I could have. And because I wanted everyone to be healthy like me. And then everyone else, when you've got like black bean brownies and regular brownies in front of you and it's Christmas, everyone just ate the regular ones. And then I binged on the black bean brownies. I'm just like, there's like so much that you miss out on. And it just like, oh, yeah, I know it's a low place. So thank you for being willing to like share your story, because that's so important. I mean, like the stories that we transform in our lives are so beautiful because we've been there, right? Like we've been to those dark places. So Kristin, on the other side of it, I know like, we got to connect, we started working together. And what would you say at this point in your life now is one of the best parts about freedom? Like describe freedom, describe how things are different than they used to be now.
Oh, they're so different, and in such a good way. Um, I Perfect example is today's Easter. And last week I was thinking, oh, Easter candy. Oh no, I'm going to eat everything, eat all this chocolate. I'll eat the kids' chocolate. I'll have to go buy more and replace it. And I'm going to feel sick. And it's just, oh. And then I realized, I don't do that anymore. And you know what? I don't do that anymore. And I didn't. And I actually ate chocolate yesterday when we were hiding it. And I didn't mind one bit. I was fine. I was in control, or I ate just as much as I wanted. I knew there was no morality attached to it. I wasn't being bad for eating chocolate. I ate what I felt like eating, and then I stopped. And it's just like magic, absolute magic. So my life is different in that way. And the offshoot of your program, which is just something I didn't ever expect, is the self-worth piece. I feel so much better about myself. I feel empowered. I feel together. I feel like I've got my brain back. My head's in the game. I am participating in my life. I am the person that I used to envy, where I used to sit there and say, why can't I have that? Why can't I eat turkey dinner? And be okay instead of, overdoing it, binging, and then having to go and deal with the aftermath later. Like, I am that person now. I'm free, and I'm so excited about my life, and I'm doing it, and it's just great.
That's so beautiful. I love it. I love that sort of wake up moment of like, wait, I don't do that anymore. Like these little remnants from your brain of just like remembering past Easters. And then you're just like, oh, wait, no, I don't do that anymore. And like you said, that magic of being able to have what you want, and there is no runaway train. Like there's no wagon to fall off of. You're just doing what you want to do. And that's such a beautiful thing. And I mean, yeah, like it's great to be done with an eating disorder, but like our self-worth, like that is how we live our life, right? Like we literally live our lives, and that comes from how we feel about ourselves. That informs every choice that we make. It informs everything that we think and our decisions and our ability to be able to love ourselves and others. Like that's huge. So, so, so beautiful. So what else? What else is freedom? What else are you excited about? What else is different than it used to be?
Um, One other thing is that I know that if I get wobbly, I have the tools to be able to right the ship, right the bike. Um, I know that that can happen. Today is Easter, and you know what? If I were to go and eat tons of chocolate and feel really like maybe like I've had too much, I know it's not the end of the world. I know that it's not going to be hard to resume my like my natural eating, how I'm meant to eat. It's just a celebration, it's a holiday, and sometimes those things happen, and it's not written in stone that I can or can't. It's just eating like a regular person, because I am a regular person. So that's changed so much for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, also like socially, my world is getting a lot bigger. Like I'm able to go out and celebrate birthdays with people. I'm able to go out for coffee and have something other than black tea. just like I'm just living life, and I'm feeling really good about myself. And I feel so good because I have met you, but I've also met other girls from the program, and we're such a strong sisterhood of you know sisterhood of empowered, smart, beautiful women. And it's nice to have that network to reach out to and support each other.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you for being such an amazing part of that. We really do. Like, because the women who get eating disorders are super cool because you guys are like super like empowered and you've done stuff in life and you just have cool personalities and just like, and then we take the eating disorder out of it. And now we're just like normal, happy people with our confidence back. And then we all get to hang out together. Like, I think that sisterhood, like that community is a beautiful way to say it, because yeah, like these are amazing women. Like we are amazing women who have gotten free, and it's so, so much fun. So I mean, for you, anything else about just this side of freedom that you would want to speak to, Kristin, that just is something that maybe surprised you? Like, I know you've already mentioned some of those things, but anything else that's just like, oh, I had no idea that getting free from food would also like mean this in my life.
um, One of the things that I think really I didn't expect is the understanding that my start story, the story that I began with, and the story that I thought my life was going to follow, they don't have I don't have to follow that path laid out for me, that story that in my head I always thought it was how it was going to go. I have the power to rewrite my story at any time, and that just makes me feel so hopeful and so excited about each day, because I know that I have the power to do that. It's empowered me in that way, because when you struggle with an eating disorder for so long, even like going 10 days in a row without binging, that's what you get excited about. And really, like, that's not what real excitement is. Real excitement is getting out there, riding bikes with your kids, going out for lunch with your friends, having a nice having a nice dinner, going on a holiday and enjoying it. That's what real life is. And so I've learned that I can rewrite my story. And I think that was something I'd never expected. That was a beautiful offshoot of the program.
It's beautiful. I love that. And, the real excitement, what a cool thing, right? I mean, like the things that we get clouded in our minds about to be excited about, excited that there's something you can eat on the menu, excited that we lost weight, excited that we've gone, 4 days on our diet or 10 days without binging or whatever it is. Like, yeah, what a cool insight, Kristin, of just like what real excitement is, like getting excited about the things that actually matter to you as a person, and to rewrite that story, like, especially because there's such, again, in a ridiculous way, but this is the way that our world is, there's such a strong story around like, oh, so you're an eating disorder person, you are like, this is your life, this is who you are, it's this thing that you're just going to live with for the rest of your life. It's like that doesn't have to be the case, that we can just be us who used to have an eating disorder. Yeah, it's part of our story, but it's like, it has no effect on our future. That's a really beautiful thing. And I want to congratulate you for showing up, doing the work, getting outside of your comfort zone. In fact, what fears did you have first getting started? And then why did you decide to move forward anyway?
I was afraid that I would fail again, but I'd done that so many times before that I knew that I could survive that if I did. I was afraid of being different than everybody else, sharing, being transparent with everyone and sharing my story and finding out that I was like super different and I didn't belong. This wasn't for me, kind of thing. But everything else, my fears melted away right away. Like first day, it was such a good fit for me. And the community was so supportive. I felt really connected with you and with the other girls and with all of the milestones. They really came at the appropriate time for me. Each milestone that we did, it was just like you could read my mind, that's what I was going through. And it just, that learning, I love the learning and learning about myself, and that confirmation that, I'm not alone and I can be fixed. Like you'd said to me before, yes, you're your own individual special little snowflake, but there's lots like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I'm not alone and I can be fixed.
Yes.
I'm writing that down. It's so good.
Oh, good.
Oh, love it. Oh, what a beautiful story that we are celebrating your story, your unique snowflake story that is so much like everyone else's, but it's just such a cool journey. And congratulations on that freedom. And, real freedom is not about I'm doing okay right now. Real freedom is, like you said, if you ever get wobbly, when you get wobbly, because this is life, like we're going to feel different at different times, then you can just go back to the place of, oh, okay, well, I know exactly what to do to keep on being free.
And you've given us so many tools to do that, like connecting to body positive people in the community, just all of the different people that are out there that can support us in a different way, but just that enrich our lives and make the whole journey and beyond better. Like I feel like I have so many different avenues to explore that are just going to enrich my life and make it the best life it can be. And I'm so excited for that.
Yeah. And having the power to do that, right? Like, I'm so just excited for you to just continue to create life how you want it to be, because you can now. Like, it's so cool to see what happens when this stuff gets out of the way, when it's just like, oh, we're not just keeping our head above water with food stuff. So now what do we want to do in life? Like, it's a really it's a fun thing. And again, congratulations, Kristin. Like, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy that you're part of this movement and community and another witness to this freedom. So before we wrap up, is there anything else on your mind that you would want to share as we celebrate you today?
There is, but now I can't remember what it is.
That's totally fine. Ongoing. Maybe we'll have a part 2. But yeah, what we have here is absolutely beautiful. Thank you for your story. And I mean, that's the thing. It's like, this is a little check-in with one part of your story. Like, it just gets better from here. And that's another fun thing about it, is to have that hope and that knowledge that it does just keep getting better from here. Because when you're struggling with an eating disorder, it's like, it always gets worse. Like, it never just starts getting better. Like, we've seen so much data. It just always gets worse. So being able to have an outlook on your life where you're like, oh, I'm so excited for my life because it can just keep getting better, because you don't have this weight that's just dragging you deeper down.
Yeah.
So
it's like when you have your kid and you're carrying it like through the store, and then you go shopping without your kid. Like, it's like, oh, this is so easy. Like, and like, I did pretty good for what I was going through, but now it's like, wow, look out world, like, here I come. And the thing I was going to say is that the body positivity piece, like, I used to look at other people that I was probably look like them, probably, and I used to think, oh, I can't ever imagine living like that way. Like, that's just not okay. That's never going to be me. And I worked so hard for it to be me. And I am there right now at being where I didn't want to be. And I'm okay with it. It's okay. And you know what? I like me. And I would rather be like this than where I was. But besides that, I'm okay being here too anyways. Like, there's nothing wrong with this. And that judgment that I held towards other people who, weren't doing the diets and weren't, like, you get kind of high and mighty, like, oh, I'm better than you because I can run for 62 days in a row and not stop, and I don't eat anything except I eat bags of cookies and throw up. Like, but you know what? Like, that judgment just to try and make yourself feel better because you feel so bad. Well, I would never go back to doing that. And I would never want to be that person if that's what I needed to do to be that way. I'm happy where I am. And, you know, I know that a lot of people freak out about the set point and all that, but I'm good. Like, if this is where it's going to be, if it goes up a little, I know I can be okay.
That is like, I just want to like take that and have everyone in the world hear that. Like, that's so important. That's so important. And look at that. I want you guys to notice the empowerment in Kristin's voice, right? The empowerment of her in her own life, because like, not being held hostage to this idea of like, well, I'm okay with being free as long as I look this way, am this weight, can do this thing. It's just like, what if you just felt good today? Like, what if you felt good in your body and your life today? And then when and if that changes, you can just feel good in that body. Because all of our bodies are changing and they will continue to change. And if we base our worth and our happiness off of being able to sculpt them and force them and make them a certain way that they can literally never be and it'll never last, then that is misery. That is misery. So just cheering you on in your joy and your empowerment and your okayness with your life and liking who you are and having that confidence, like, that's what it's about. And congratulations, Kristin. I love it. We are celebrating you. All right, guys. So happy for us to be able to celebrate together. Thank you for being here. Like, thank you for being part of this community and part of this movement of we can be free. Like, look into my eyes. Nobody has to have an eating disorder that doesn't want one. It's not a mystery. It's not like, oh, we have this thing that works sometimes. This is exactly how we end eating disorders. That's what we're doing. We know how to end eating disorders. We're doing it. And then it comes down to the choice of, do you want that to be you or not? That's it. And whether it is for you individually or not is your personal choice, and that is okay. But if you want that to be an option for you, if that's something you feel ready for, that you want to even know how to be done, you can literally start the same way that Kristin started. She just signed up for a free session. That's something that we offer to the world. If you go to lydialifestyle.com, you can look on the calendar, snag a time that works for you, and we will call you at that time. We have an amazing team, and we're going to get clarity on exactly where you're at right now with the cycle, how it's impacting you, and what that looks like in your life. We're going to get really clear on what's not working in your current approach, and then we're going to get really clear on what's missing for you to be able to be done. Poof, there you go. And that's what we're doing. We're ending eating disorders. So happy that you guys are here. Thank you again for tuning in. New videos every Monday for maybe the rest of my life. Probably not. So get them while they're here because that's what I've been doing. I don't know when I'm going to stop, but I've got a lot of life ahead of me. But until then, just so happy that you are all part of this. And thank you, Kristin, for being on, being such an amazing example of freedom. And this is Kristin and Lydia, the Lifestyle Coach, signing off. Bye guys. You have so many options. You can watch more videos. You can subscribe for new videos every Monday. You can even join our Facebook group with an amazing support community.